Welcome to the Tipton, where everything is sweet. Try joining us for dinner, where we offer you a treat. Next time, stay at the Tipton.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome.
I didn't want you to stop. I wanted to be the hype man.
Oh, my bad. Hey guys, we're already starting chaotic. It's just a lovely Monday.
Next time, stay at the Tipton. The
All right.
Tipton Portrait. Sorry, I could sing that all damn day. Let me. Bye.
Welcome back to the Cosmic Call Out, and welcome to whoever has not, tuned in. New people, we love you. Welcome. Hey. Today we have a lovely little episode about a topic that we all know, but we might not understand.
Or
So,
love or appreciate.
yeah. So I guess the question that we have today is, have you ever felt like time was moving too fast or too slow? And here we go into the topic. We're gonna give you a
Let's
little
take the
background.
time to
Yes.
uncover time.
We're gonna go into a little background information. We did do some research for you guys so that we're not just talking out of our butts. But
A little herstory, if you will.
right. So with that being said, Miss Clo Money, take us through the history of time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm the absolute worst with history. I took maybe 2 years of US history, and when I moved to Florida, they didn't make me take another 2 years. Like I believe you can learn from history, but like I also don't care really about what happened that long ago. I'm a let's figure out what's happening now kind of person.
Right.
So with that being said, I had to do research because I had no idea. Because one of the things I was thinking of was like, who even decided that the time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. is like a thing. Like who did this essentially? And I've pondered it, but I've never really researched it. So this is a shout out to ChatGPT for giving me the lowdown. Okay.
Yes.
Ancient people follow the sun, moon, and seasons to track things naturally. We are aware of this, right?
Yes.
There was the sundial, people used the moon for cycles, right? Needed to learn it for cropping.
Mm-hmm.
Cropping? Yeah, for crop stuff. I,
Survival. Yeah, like just
yeah, like, when you, and I also have to imagine that eventually when people are like, oh, I want to trade with you, they're like, meet me before sundown, but it's like any day, any time before sundown, like what time is it? So time had to be created a little bit, okay? So essentially the Egyptians in 1500 BCE divided the day into 12 parts using the sundial. So I saw that and I was like, I don't understand BCE. I don't understand AD. I don't know any of that. Okay. So I discovered that CE is Common Era, aka AD, meaning in the year of our Lord. Okay. And
yes.
BCE is before Common Era, aka before Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever knew that it was like before Christ. I don't think that ever sank in my head that our whole calendar and time system and year descriptions of past time were based around Jesus Christ, but nonetheless are relevant, but relevant at the same time. Okay. Not for
Mm-hmm.
this. So the reason I say that is because I was like, how long ago was 1500 BCE? Because I don't know the correlation. I can't do like 2025 minus 1500 BCE. So essentially, 3,500 years ago, okay,
Yeah,
was
hot
when
minute.
they hot,
Piping.
steaming hot minute. Okay. Babylonians in 600 BCE gave us the 60-minute hours. That was 2,623 years ago. And we're still following it. Okay. So that being said, it's also based around the Gregorian calendar and how that will
Mm-hmm.
influence time a little bit. Okay. I found out that the Gregorian calendar was introduced by Pope Gregory the 10, 11, 12, 13th in 1582 to fix Julian calendar errors. I don't know what the Julian calendar was, nor do I know its errors. Okay.
I think there was an extra month with the Julian calendar.
Essentially, I don't think it adjusted for leap years and it kept the calendar aligned with the solar year. So
Mm-hmm.
don't know that if it being aligned with the solar year is an error, but according to Mr. Popey Man, there was an error in that. Okay. So that's where the 12-month, 365-day structure was created that we use today. This standardized global time, shaping work schedules, economies, school years, all that good jazz, created a much more linear view, essentially, of time
Yeah.
and disconnected us from the natural cycles. And with that Gregorian calendar and the time that we all know and
Hmm.
use, it's solidified time is something we follow and not something that we necessarily flow with. And then in due time, probably 1300s is when clocks started to be created. Okay.
Yeah.
No more adjusting for daylight. Everyone was on the same ticking schedule. In the 1800s, when the Industrial Revolution started to kind of make its appearance, factories ran on strict shifts. People had to clock in for work. Okay. So that's where everyone really started getting into this. So that's my little ChatGPT inspired history lesson because I didn't know,
History lessons with Chloe Money.
which is a joke because I don't know anything about history. Okay. Don't
Oh,
actually blame ChatGPT. Don't blame me. Okay. I'll give my opinions, which is that with love and light, I think all of it is whack.
yeah.
Um, because like, especially not to get too much into it, but like, I understand there's positive and negative aspects like anything else. I
Hmm.
think that, but to me, the association between saying, let's not listen to solar time anymore. Let's create this new thing that essentially benefits the economy. Just
I mean,
something.
that's just what society created. I mean,
Yeah,
everything
but
is done for the economy.
I know, but something about it doesn't sit right for me because it's so ego driven. You
That's what our
know?
that's what our society made. It's a
I
very
mean, TV,
ego-driven
cosmic
society.
TV. Yes, like I know, and it's like I'm aware of it, but to see it, because I knew that it existed this way, and I knew that in school and work, like it was all created to fuel us and shove us into this condition, right?
Right.
I understood it, and I was, I'm part of it.
Hmm.
Fortunately, unfortunately, I think there's positive aspects of it, which is like it's really nice to say to Victoria, "Hey, let's meet to record our podcast at 3 p.m." You
There's
know,
structure. It helps
it
to keep us
there's
organized and
yes,
structured.
and there's
Yes.
nice parts of that, but I think that I'll let Victoria kind of pick it up from here, but essentially I think that it's important to note how some of this structure and condition has taken away some joy in being in the present moment
Yeah.
and what we're naturally feeling pulled to do, which is kind of disregard this illusion of time to some degree and how to like balance that out of living in it, but still not tying our sense of self to it.
I mean, it's just a matter of like, if we look back at like ancient cultures, they went by like nature, like the
Yeah.
cycles in nature. They went by the sun, they went by the moon, the tides, the seasons. Like, if we go back to that understanding of things
It's
and
universal time.
yeah,
It has its own flow.
viewing it as like a spiritual dance per se of nature,
Ooh,
we
a
have more.
spiritual dance of nature is hot. I love that.
But yeah, so we have a better understanding of like why I mentioned this to you earlier was
Mm.
like people can't sleep. People who have like
Mm.
insomnia and stuff like that. They're not balanced with their natural circadian rhythm. Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, you're not balanced, your mind is like going, going, going because we have that anxiety of like I don't have time. I need more time.
Not even just that, but like my dad and I are victims of this. Like I'll be trying to go to bed and like if I have to work the next day, I'll be like, I can't fall asleep. Oh, I have 3 hours until I have to be at work. Like, do I stay
Yeah.
up? If it's the middle of the
Hmm.
night, you can't go back to sleep because you're afraid you're gonna oversleep and miss the time to go to, and so it's like to count how much time you have, like it's just such a surge of angst,
Yeah, I
paying
mean
too
it
much attention.
yeah, it makes me go crazy. I'm not even kidding. It makes me go crazy because then I'm like for example, I'll get home from work and then I'm like, man, I only have like 4 hours to chill. And then I have to go to bed because if I don't get a certain amount of sleep, I'm gonna be
That's what
tired
that's
tomorrow.
what drove me into disability, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest.
No,
It
like
was
it
me
drives you
working eight
crazy.
to
Yeah.
five and feeling like I had no time for myself because I had to come home and cook and clean and do things. And like I sleep procrastinate because you're just
Hmm.
trying to get time back for yourself because you feel like most of the time is not even for you, it's for other
Yeah.
people and your job. And so it was like living in such a heavy structure that I feel like wasn't even dictated really by me, even though it was because I knew it when I signed up for it. It's kind of just like, yeah, no wonder why you're trying to find control and you sleep
Yeah.
procrastinate and like, you
Yeah.
know it's beneficial to sleep. Like
Yeah, you want to have the time to be able to have, a moment for yourself. You've
it's
been
like you
doing,
can't be present because you're afraid if you get carried away, you're gonna run
hmm
late.
yeah. And that's the problem. Like it's constantly being on the go. So I feel
Mm.
like things that like contribute to that would be like your environment, like people that live in New York City. Like I don't, God bless y'all, because I don't know how y'all do it. Like that
I
city.
did it for 4 months and I could never do it
Listen,
again.
I will FaceTime my friend Daniel, and in the background, all you hear is honking,
Yep.
sirens, people
Yep.
screaming. And I literally tell him, I'm like, how do you sleep? How do you sleep?
I feel like I can sleep through the train by my house now because I lived in New York. Like you just learn to tune it out. And I feel like for me, the only benefit about being in the city that never sleeps is you best believe if I was hungry and I needed to go, there was always something open. Always something open. And
Yeah.
I loved that because I could easily at like 3 a.m. order DoorDash.
Yeah.
And there was like options.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do it, but I can't.
You
All that
adjust,
ruckus.
you adapt like anything
Yeah.
else. It's like
Yeah,
you have
but
no other choice, otherwise you just suffer,
I
you
can't
know.
function. But yeah, so that's like my point. Like I feel like your like environment really like contributes to like
Mm.
your sense of time.
Perception of
Yeah,
time.
your perception of time is definitely like it definitely changes based on like where you're. Like if you're in more of like a rural area, like a little farmy area or like
A little
just
slower,
like a
yeah.
small town or whatever, I feel like it's easier for you to kind of like be one with nature and like understand like the seasons, the sun, the moon, the changes, like all these things that we would have done in the ancient, times and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
how,
but when you're running through New York, everyone's looking at their watch, running behind, like
yeah,
you're never on time to anything,
yeah.
and it's stressful AF, you
Yeah,
know.
it's really just all like your perception, your location, your environment, all of that. Also
And the
like,
people you grew up around too, I feel like if your parents or, whatever whoever you lived with, your guardians, they always felt like they were in a rush. I
yeah,
think moms especially are always like, there's never enough time. I have to do a million things. And it's like, because there isn't enough time in the day
yeah.
usually. So it's like we also beat ourselves up if we didn't get to something that day because we ran out of time, like it's our fault.
I feel like the dynamic with my parents was a little bit different. Like, so my mom was always like, like in a rush.
Mm.
And then my dad was always like, I have time.
That's
It's
interesting that
crazy. Like,
how did they work together?
well, like it would literally be like my dad was like, "Oh, like I'll do it later. I have time. I can do it later. Yeah, I'll do it next week. I'll do it tomorrow, like whatever." And then my mom would be like,
Oh,
"You always think that you have time." And that was
he
one thing.
does.
Well, that was like one thing she would always tell him. And then like after he passed away, she was like, "Your dad was somebody who always thought he had time, and then time like ran out, basically."
Damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought of that too, but I also know that I'm someone who says like, "Oh, I have time, I'll do it later." But you're right, time is not promised
Yeah.
in this physical way,
Hmm.
but in the same way, like if it's not something you're really excited or passionate about doing right now,
Don't like
then
rush to do it. No, you're
no.
fine.
Like I'm
You
not going to stress about running out of time to do something that I don't even really want to be doing.
and also I like the perception of like time being like, when something goes down, like you're rushing to leave, whatever, and something happens and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be late, but like maybe like you're being saved from mass
Yes.
disaster or whatever. Like
Yes.
and like
I've felt so much guilt for feeling like I'm behind or not on time about something. And then
mm-hmm.
I started saying this affirmation like I'm right on time. Like everything is
Yeah.
exactly where it's supposed to be. Because even when I think I don't have enough time to complete something, all of a sudden I'll do it and I'll finish it and I'm like 3 minutes ahead. of time.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I'm never late for work. Like I have to trust my own judgment because if I have any fear that I'm not going to get there in time, then that's exactly what happens because you're
Hmm.
so hyper aware and fixated on, oh my God, I got to rush this and rush that, that you're not clear. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to be late.
Yeah. But sometimes I'm like, thank you. Most
Yeah.
of the time I'm like, thank you. Because if I would have been there 5 minutes earlier, like how I was gonna leave, that was gonna happen to me or whatever. Like, and I've seen that in so many, like in a few situations, like there was like a car accident like on the highway and I was running late or whatever. And if I would have been there probably like 5 minutes earlier,
Could have been you.
could have been
Yeah,
me.
the universe might reroute you sometimes for good
Yeah.
reason.
Thank you, universe. We love that. But yeah, and so then, we can move on to like the understanding of like 3D versus 5D time, which would be like I'll kind of go into 3D and then if you want to like chime in and explain 5D a little bit better. So like 3D time would be like our linear time, so like, um our calendar, our, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever.
Mhm.
And then like our perception of like past, present, and future. So like it's just for structure and physical reality, right? And then 5D if you want to chime in on that one.
Yeah, so, and this is kind of a quantum perspective, if you will, is that there is no past, there is no future, all there is now.
Yeah.
And if anyone's ever read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I feel like I can put it in no better way. So I'm gonna read a little excerpt. Grab your cup of tea, settle in, listen to me read a book. Okay. Nothing ever happened in the past. It happened in the now or the present. Okay. Nothing will ever happen in the future. It will happen in the now.
Yep.
What you think of as the past is a memory trace stored in the mind of a former now. When you remember the past, you reactivate a memory trace and you do so now. The future is an imagined now, a projection of the mind. When the future comes, it comes in as the now. When you think about the future, you do it now. Past and future obviously have no reality of their own. Just as the moon has no light of its own, but it can only reflect the light of the sun, so are the past and future only pale reflections of the light, power, and reality of the eternal present. Their reality is borrowed from the now. The essence of what I'm saying here cannot be understood by the mind. The moment you grasp it, there's a shift of consciousness from mind to being, from time to presence. Suddenly, everything feels alive, radiates energy, and
Hmm.
emanates being. Okay.
Yep.
So I got this book probably years ago in my, spiritual journey. And I felt like a huge relief of anxiety just like off my shoulders because I was like, wait, that's fucking true.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about the future, you are thinking about it now.
Hmm.
When you're thinking about the past, you're thinking about it now.
Yeah.
So they don't exist. And like if I close my eyes and I go back and change a memory of my past in this now present moment, it's changed
Yeah.
because it was my perception of said past event that I can now go back and look at and almost imagine myself in a different light and change that memory,
Hmm.
so to speak. So I feel like when you know that all things exist at the same what?
Go ahead and finish. I have a story to tell that I did that.
Uh, but essentially when, if you're viewing the future up here and you're viewing the past down here and you're just staying present,
Hmm.
you're just enjoying the feeling of pure freedom
Yeah.
because you're not worried about one thing or the other because you know that your divine source knows that there's no need to ruminate on the past or worry about a future because they don't exist. And
Yeah.
it lets you fully create and enjoy and be present
In the
and
now.
yeah, in your loving spirit in the
Yeah.
now. And so I think that understanding time in the sense of what we talked about earlier of how it was all created and especially from like a job point of view, like
Yeah.
I look at my guinea pigs, for example, and I'll just be like, you guys have no idea. They're
None.
so
They're
beautifully,
not stressed. They're fine.
they're divine
Yeah. It's like
because they're,
babies. Babies are
yes,
so like pure, like
it's
they have no idea what's going on around
pure
them.
positive
Hmm.
energy. Surviving and thriving off of pure universal knowing of intuition alone.
Well,
Glenn has no sense of time. He doesn't know oh, mommy's awake, it's 10 a.m., feed
no,
me.
yeah.
He's in the flow of, oh, when I hear this noise, and this is when I know that I might get fed. But he's also
Hmm.
squeaking at me all the time. So I don't know. He has no sense of time. And when I say it's not time yet, it ain't clicking.
Yeah. Can I
What were
tell
you
my
going to say though?
so my story was just real quick. I like changed my perception of my past of like an event that happened to me. A traumatizing
Mm.
event that happened to me. Basically, the ride got stuck at the Harry Potter ride.
Oh, yeah.
The Harry Potter ride got stuck, and in my mind, I was like 20, 30 feet up in the air. I vividly remember this. I was like 11, 12 years old. I vividly remember me looking down and there was like little tiny staircases and we were in like a white thing. Like it was like a white room. And I looked down and it's just like 30 feet up. And I was like, we're gonna die. Like, there's no other explanation. Well, anyway, this was all debunked by my one of my best friends, Daniel. I was telling him the story, and for some reason he got curious and he was like, well, let me like search up like a ride through video of somebody getting stuck. Yeah, there was no way that that was 20 or 30 feet at all. Max, max, maybe like 10 feet. Max.
Well,
And
that
that's
just
like
goes to show you what
pushing.
your mind can create
Yeah.
when it feels under stress.
Yeah, and he showed me the video and I was like, you're wrong. I can't believe that for a second. You're wrong.
Convinced.
I am fully convinced that this is what I saw. I've told everyone this story. They probably never got on the ride because of me. But that was not it whatsoever. But that's like a good example of like our perception of like the past, the present, the future. Like we can easily tune that, change it, not willingly if we don't want to. I mean, we can, but we might do that as like a trauma
Yeah, you could
response.
choose not to focus on one or the other and stay present. And I feel
Yes.
like for me, especially where I feel like I have to shift away from that, oh my God, I only have X amount of time to do something, is if I'm meditating, sometimes I'll set a timer for 30 minutes, but sometimes I won't. And I've meditated what I thought to be an hour, and it was like 5.
Yeah. And that just shows like, like journaling, like meditation, like reflecting on like
Creating,
personal
painting,
experiences.
when you're in the
Yes.
flow, you have no
Yes.
concept of time.
None. Or like when you're on vacation, for example, like when you're having an amazing time, whatever, like when you're just in
Free
your
and fun and
pure, like
vibes.
good energy, you have zero concept of time. Like
It's
you look at the
only when you
clock.
think you have to do something or
Yeah.
be somewhere
And
and you have
also,
a condition that you
yes.
feel the stress.
So I actually found out like an interesting fact really quickly because I know we are running out of time. But
A little Snapple fact.
yes. So yeah, no, literally. Apparently, right? Vegas does this thing in their like casinos, specifically the Caesar's Palace, right? Where in the Caesar's
Oh, it's the
Palace,
lighting they make it seem like.
so
So
like the
I think I've
lighting
heard of
and
this.
then like the ceiling is painted like a sky during the day. So it looks like it's daytime. There's no windows to the outside, like you
Yeah,
can't
it's to
see
trick you
outside.
into staying that it's
And
there all the,
they
yeah.
pump oxygen into the
I
hotel
think I
so
heard
that
of
you
this
can
too.
feel like you just woke up, like you're just like awake. So that you
Mm.
have no concept of knowing that it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and you're still spending money. I
If
was
if
like,
we were to
that's
take away our
crazy.
phones and our clocks, I don't think any of us would have any sense of time because no one's sitting there
No,
counting down 60 minutes. I
no.
have zero concept of time. I live on alarm clocks and timers, dude. I have no concept of time. I will think I'm in the shower for 10 minutes and it is 40 minutes. I have no concept of time.
I can
None.
kind of tell by like when the sun's kind of setting, like what time. So I can kind of go by that. But
You
like,
say that until daylight savings, and then I have no idea. I'll look outside and be like, oh, it's dark. It's 8 p.m. And
which
at one time point, it's 5 p.m.
By the way, tomorrow, because when this episode releases, it'll be the next day. The time changes.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, like Saturday, but like Sunday, the episode
I know, but
releases on
how
Saturday.
ironic that right around a time change is
The
when we're
episode of
talking about
time.
time.
But
Spirit
yeah,
knew
so
what
the
they were
time is gonna
doing.
spring forward on Sunday, guys. So don't forget, you're gonna get an hour less of sleep. So go to bed early.
If you think that, because it's all made up, you're not losing or gaining anything.
Well, in the societal clock, we are.
Yeah, but then everyone's stressed. Oh my God, I'm losing sleep.
Okay, so
I've
like,
I've
you
been
know,
up in the middle of the night and saw my clock changed. It's
it's
tweaky.
crazy. It's crazy, yeah. So, some techniques that'll help deal with the anxiety of time, running out of time, and being stressed on like, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time for me. I don't have time.
Drop down into the present moment where time is infinite.
Yes. And take a shot for every single time that we said the word time in this podcast.
Please don't. You're gonna go to the hospital and get your stomach pumped. Lord.
Don't listen to me, please. But yeah, like we can definitely like let go of the past of anxiety, the past. Let go of the anxieties of the past and the future
Yeah, it's
because
staying
it's
present.
yeah, we are in
It's just
the
not that deep. It's all made up
yeah,
ultimately.
we're in the
Like,
power of now.
if you have, listen. If you got somewhere to go, pay attention to the time.
Or when
Okay?
you feel overwhelmed by not having enough time or not having, like time for you and all that stuff, have a moment with nature. I
Well,
mean, if you don't like meditation,
I want people to ask themselves the question, what's the rush? If you
yeah.
listen, it's different. If you got an appointment and you gotta go and you gotta schedule your shit to get it together to leave at a certain time to make sure that you're there, do that. But if you have a day where you're not doing anything and you're rushing because you're in the habit of being like that, girl, where are you going?
Yeah.
Why are you rushing? Just ask yourself, why am I in a rush? If you have nowhere to actually be or you're not meeting someone that you care about, take your time and just enjoy the present moment. Like I started to feel so much more free when I didn't feel like I had to complete things or get somewhere in X amount of time. Now it's different. If I say to Victoria, we're meeting at 2 o'clock and I don't end up showing up until 4, that's annoying and disrespectful. Okay. So that's one thing. But if I have no obligation,
Yeah.
why am I like, oh my God, I'm running out of time. I can't do girl,
Just relax.
breathe.
We're good. Like everything is okay. Everything is working out perfectly for you.
You're right on
Everything is
time.
already happening for you.
Follow your
Everything.
inner divine
Yes.
guidance, and that is your clock.
Yes. Everything is flowing the way that it needs to. So just remind yourself and, be grateful of now. Be grateful of the
Yeah.
moment that you're in right now. We talked about this, what, 2 weeks ago? This is the moment you literally prayed for. Let's love it. Let's live it. Let's be
Look at the
grateful.
babies, look at the guineas, look at the
Yes.
dogs, and
Your
see that
pets. Yes.
they are happy in the present moment, and so can you.
Yeah.
Tea. Take the time and have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Relax a minute,
Speaking
chill.
of tea, I just bought a tea kettle, so
Did you like
I
an electric
did.
one or like
No, the
a
like
legit one?
the whistling one.
I can't make a
No, me either.
Anyway, I'm gonna also probably make a cup of tea after this and do my best to be present and
In the
not rush.
moment, the power of now.
Yeah, shout out to Eckhart Tolle. Read his book. There's so many books about time and present moment. I have about 80 of them in my house. So I'm gonna make a little list and we'll put it in the description below. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is now
Thank
the
you.
time where we wrap things up. We love you, love you. If you ever want to book a reading with me, links down below. If you ever need to follow our socials, links down below. And subscribe, like, do all that fun good stuff so you don't miss an episode. And we love you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.